He did very well. So I really wanted to thank him in French. So I want to say something, youth, so at least you understand and appreciate what I'm going to say now. And for you to also appreciate and understand that the things that are happening here, you might look at them and assume that perhaps it's just by sheer chance, but it's not. And I want to confirm to you that I did not know any of the other speakers. The pastor can raise his hand there. I did not know the other speakers today. Neither did I know the other topics for the day. When he asked me to speak, he just said anything that the Lord lays upon your heart. And guess what do we have here? So this is not a makeup. This is typed. And it's a PowerPoint presentation. And the title was Sexuality. There we go. I think Pastor Mandiamba, you remember this discussion, 15 July 2018, at your house. We spoke to your youth about this one. So it's not something new. You remember? Down there, close to the church there. Hannah, do you remember? You remember that, right? Okay. So it's not makeup. It's something that is, we were planning to talk about 2018, that's about 6 years ago when we did speak to the church in Regent's Park. But this is not the end. I was thinking while I was still there that I might as well just go and say, thank you, brother, you went into my notes. So we might as well close. But you cannot never finish these things. But I've got a question for you. You have heard Brother Eli speak about sex. And many times we as message believers, we avoid this topic. That's why some of you have never seen your mother and your mother having a public display of affection, which we call the PDA. You've never seen it. But all you see are your younger brothers and sisters coming. And you wonder where they are coming from. But you have never seen it. In fact, if your dad tries to kiss your mom while you are there, the mother will shrug your father off and say, there are children here. Why do you want to do it here while there are children? Let's go to the inner room. But I've got a question for you. The question is very simple. After Brother Eli spoke, even before he spoke, how many of you know about sex? Show by raising your hand. How many of you know about sex? No, I'm not saying how many of you involved in. No, I'm just knowledge. Just knowledge. Raise up your hands, please, if you know about sex. Raise up your hands. Raise them higher, higher, higher. Please don't be shy. High. I can also add to that question, how many have we heard? How many have we heard about sex? Raise up your hands. Keep them high. Keep them high. Raise up your hands if you have heard about sex. Heard, hearing. Keep your hands up, please. Keep your hands up if you have heard about sex. Keep your hands up, please, if you have ever heard about sex. Please don't lie to me, please. Keep your hands up. As you have your hands up, I've got a follow-up question. And those ones who answers in the affirmative, you keep your hands up. How many have we heard it from their parents? This is the problem, Brother Eli. This is the problem that we have in the message. You can put your hands down. You are very, very fortunate if you have heard it from your parents. So the challenge that we do have, Brother Eli, Brother Dave, the challenge we have is our kids know about sex, but they've not heard it from us, the parents. They've heard it from somewhere else. And this is where the problem is. Because the devil is the one who told you about it, and he added some spices and everything. That's why we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it at all. If you come from the olden days, the ministers would not even mention breasts when they are preaching. They can't. That one, they will try and, those things that are in front of the chest of the woman, they are preaching, they are trying to say something, but they can't. This is where the problem is. So you have heard this from your friends, you have heard it from school, you have heard it from everywhere, but the world is polluted. Everything is about sex today. When Brother Branham talks about women, money, and popularity, he is injecting and telling you that we have to be very, very careful when it comes to those things. Now, because we don't talk about it, because we don't talk about them, many of you walk into marriages blindly. Because we don't talk about those things. We don't. In fact, the moment you start mentioning it, everyone will shut you down. I think it was Brother Mandiamba the other time we were having a couples meeting somewhere. He was giving this example to his church. And he said there was something that was playing on TV. And there was a family that was there and some kids and their father. So there was a man and a woman on the screen. I think they had visited somewhere. There was a man and a woman on the screen, and they were just about to kiss. And I think either the power went off or the father switched off the TV. And the kid says, "Ah!" There were parents. There was a little boy who was about 4 years old. He went to his mom and says, "Mommy, how is a child born?" And the mother says, "We go to the hospital and we buy the baby." He goes to the father. "Daddy, how is a child born?" "No, something happened somewhere and then the child drops." The child went to the grandmama. "Grandma, what happens? How is a child born?" "No, there's a guinea, this bird that brings this." And the boy went to his friend and he says, "Hey, I stay with morons at the house. All of them, they don't even know that the child is born through sex. All of them, they don't know." You see, the parents thought they were hiding things, but these things are common everywhere. So, the challenge we do have is many times we tell you what not to do. We don't tell you what to do. You are very fortunate. You have come during these days. The message was hard. Harder. We used to, if you met a sister, stand up, brother. If you met a sister in town, you can stand up. If you met a sister in town, you will shake her hand, "God bless you, sister." And then you do 1, 2, 3 steps. Then you can have a conversation. That's how it was. That's how it was. You can sit down. You did not have the guts to speak to your sister about anything else other than the message of the hour. You could not speak to them about anything else. We never had an opportunity to just chill. Let's chill. Calling a sister, "Hi, how are you?" Just checking up on you. Never. We did not have cell phones. So the only phone available was the landline. And it will ring and the father will answer. What will you say? "I want to speak to your daughter." It was not possible. I'm trying to lay a foundation for you so that when I talk about what I want to talk about, you understand where I'm coming from. You brothers and sisters, sometimes you pretend to be holy. You see a brother, if you say, "Brother, sit together," you find a brother is so scared of sitting next to a sister. But you go to a taxi, you find the sister sandwiched in between 2 worldly men. In my country, there is what we call the buses, where you stand here and another person stand here. You find a man here and a man here and a sister in between. There's a brother from Malawi. He told me, he says, when the Lord showed him the sister that he wanted, he really liked. One day he got into the bus and he saw the sister sitting on a two-seater by herself. The brother walked past. And he stood in the bus while there was a seat there. And then a drunkard came and sat there. You get my point? Holier than thou art. Now, Brother Branham, when he preached the message Marrion divorce, he said, I altered some of my notes. He knew what he was dealing with. But I don't have much time to get, because this talk is about 2 hours long. I think we did 3 hours with the youth in Regents Park. But I just want to kick some highlights here so that at least we can just wrap up quickly. I've put a timer here, so I'm already 12 minutes into my time. There are messages I want to encourage you to go and read and listen to. If we really want to talk about marriage and dating. The first one is the power of decision. You must make sure that you read that message. So that next time Brother Freddy invites me, I'll start from there. I'm now extending my invitation already because I don't have time today. Power of Decision, preached 1955, 7 October. The results of decision, preached 1955 on the 8th of October. A time of decision, 1959, 18 April. There's a time of decision and then the time of decision, preached in 1959 on the 11th of June. You must also look for the kinsman redeemer. 1960, 1002. How can we forget kinsman redeemer? And when a man loves a woman and loves her and marries her, oh brother, paragraph 47. One of the beautiful quotations that we ever read. But Brother Branham, in the message Kinsman Redeemer, you can go pick up some nuggets from there. You must also listen to the choosing of a bride, preached in 1965. And the last message that I want you to listen to is the marriage of the Lamb. I gave you 7 titles. But I'm not restricting you to 7 titles because Brother Branham speaks about marriage in many messages. I'm just giving you critical ones that I have always recommended to the youth. The decision books, 4 of them. Kinsman Redeemer, choosing of a bride, and the marriage of the Lamb. How many are promising me that they will listen to them end to end and finish them? Okay, I'll share with Pastor Freddy, Pastor Chidongo. Thank you. So, before I move away and talk about what I really want to talk about, Brother Eli spoke about something of the things that are happening right now. And many of you are thinking, I am fine. I spend time at the house. And many parents in the message are comfortable because they see their daughter, they see their son at the house, in their room, and they even break to their visitors. They say, this one spends his time in the room. Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, all these companies, they are making money through data. And what is being exchanged through data? Photos, videos. Brothers and sisters exchanging videos and photos while they are in their bath suit. In the message, in their room. You heard from Brother Dave about scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram. Right now, if you open any channel, social media channel, be it TikTok, be it Instagram, brother, you have to be watching you have to be careful, because the thing that they throw at you while you are just watching, just trying to look at news, but they throw in a woman there, they throw in a man there, they throw in a naked thing, they throw in everything. And you are saying, my son is in his room. Meanwhile, he is having sexual conversations with someone. A brother once wrote to your sister that, I want to see you naked. And their sister saying, I also want to see you naked. People are trying to test drive before they get there. For that, I'll read this quotation, then I'll switch on to Brother Branham in the message, the serpent seed. He says, and a woman is just a part of man, a byproduct. That's why they want to buy products. A woman was not in the original creation. And the brothers want to use this quotation to really push down sisters. It's another conversation. God had done quit creating for years and years and years until he made the woman out of a rib, singular. Rib, not ribs. Rib. If God had used more than one rib, then the man would have been ribless. If he was going to be ribless, then he was going to be a serpent. Right? Rib, one. Adam had named all the creation. Everything else, if you read the Bible, it says, when Adam just woke up, he saw this. He started speaking. This is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. That's what women want to hear, a man who speaks. Adam was not even forced to speak. He started speaking by himself. And God did not force him. Eve was presented to Adam, and Adam made a choice. So when it comes to marriage, God will not force you to give you someone. It's you who makes the choice. Are you still following? And a woman is just a part of man. And when a man takes to himself a wife, and if she is correctly his wife, so it means someone might not be correctly their wife. Those marriages which we will fix. A God-given wife, she will be just to him as part of him. That's the reason you have so many scraples in the marriage. Is because you go out and see some girl with pretty brown eyes or blue eyes or something like that, and some pretty figure, and you fall for her. First time she has her first baby, then the teeth comes out, and she gets wrinkled and old, and then you want to kick her out. And some of you women find some little boy with his hair slicked down and his mommy's lard can have dumped on it and curly, and it's all fall out. I know that by experience. But what happens? What is it? You fall for that. Branham says you ought to pray first, because a woman is part of you. And if you have embraced a woman, now this is the part I want you to listen to. Listen carefully. If you have embraced a woman to your bosom and taken her for your wife, she makes an imprint on you. We'll say it like this so you will understand. And any other woman against that bosom won't fit that print. And God will hold you responsible for it. And you just remember that. This is a powerful quotation that should make you think before you undress. Did you hear what I just said? That should make you think before you undress. Because these things are happening and people are just watching. In fact, these days, when you hear the pastor says today, we are going to announce this courtship today. The people are clapping their hands and some youths are saying, hey, it has been long. They knew about it, they knew the shenanigans, they knew everything, and no one said anything. Are you your brother's keeper? Now, this issue of marriage is a very important one. I don't want to just say a few words on it. It needs a whole lot of time. But brother, sister, if you have not started praying for a husband or for a wife, you better start now. You don't start praying because somebody has approached you. You start praying before somebody approaches you. That's when you start praying. Right now, as part of your prayer request, you say, Lord, I'm praying for a good husband. Lord, I'm praying for a good wife. God has a way of speaking to you to show you who he is and to show you who she is. But the many mistakes that we make, they are about choosing. If the devil cannot get you on salvation, he wants to get you on marriage. In our days, we never knew, we never thought that we would hear anything about divorce in the message. We never. It was unheard of. But today, people are marrying for the wrong reasons. And then when they marry for the wrong reasons, then what happens? We have these divorce cases. I've counseled people that have wanted to divorce after 30 days of marriage. 30 days. One couple, while they were still on honeymoon, which means it's less than 30 days, they are still at the honeymoon. And they were already fed up with each other. They were already fed up. Are you hearing me? Do you want to be part of the statistic? You must say, Lord, I don't want to be like that. You must commit and say, Lord, I really want the right one. I said I'm not going to speak about my notes and everything. That's for another day. Let me give you a personal testimony before I sit down. When the time came, I've been married for 23 years. So, 2 weeks ago, we celebrated 23 years. That's the 2nd of June. Just in case you want to still give us presents. So the 2nd of June, we celebrated 23 years of marriage. My courtship was 3 months. Not 3 years, 3 months. 3 months. I spoke to her on the 17th of February. 17th of February, I spoke to her. System change. When I spoke to her on the 17th of February, 25th of March, I was already engaging. 25th of March, a month later. I had not spoken to her before about marriage. I spoke to her on the 17th of February. 25th of March, I engaged. Then I wanted a date in May. I couldn't get a date in May to do the wedding. The earliest I could get was the 2nd of June. 2nd of June, I got married. 23 years later, here we are. Where was the confidence coming from? Where was the confidence coming from? In 2000, in the year 2000, I went to the pastor. That's how we do it in Zim. We don't just approach willy-nilly. I went to the pastor and I said, maybe you can pick up some lessons from what I'm saying. Sisters, be careful when brothers are flocking like this. Be careful. I went to the pastor. I said, Pastor, I feel I'm ready. I want to get married now. And he says, let's pray together. We started praying together. Praying together. And then sometime in November, on a Wednesday, I wanted to call the pastor and tell the pastor the name of the sister. But something said, don't call. You go to him on Saturday. So I go to his house on Saturday. And I said, Pastor, the sister I want is Sister Patricia. The Lord is pulling me in that direction. Please arrange a meeting so that at least I can meet her. Because that was the order in church. You did not just approach a sister. You had to go through the pastor. Not the pastor to be there when you are talking, no. For order. So that sisters don't get bombarded with so many brothers. This one coming in this way, this one with this one, and this one like that. So, and even now, even here in South Africa, even with the way you're doing, it's always good to check up with your pastor. Pastor, what do you think about this man? What do you think about this sister? It's always good. He knows more. That's why he is there to take you through, right? So I said, Pastor, my heart is pulled towards Sister Patricia. And then Pastor says, oh, brother. There's a brother who came yesterday. Remember Wednesday I wanted to tell him and I didn't. And the brother came yesterday, Friday. And that brother also wants that sister. And I'm like, yeah. I've been praying, Pastor. The Lord showed me it's her. How can it be that another brother comes? I went back on my knees. I said, Lord, if she is the one, please work on her. Work on her. She has to know that it is me. Not that I was calling on the side or going after church and playing around. And no. It was not like that. It was not like that. I just said, Lord, work on her. That was my prayer. And December, we go out on a missionary journey. So that brother then speaks to her. And the sister says, you know what, brother? You are my brother. You are my brother. But the Lord is not showing me that you are the one who is supposed to marry me. So I'm very sorry. And we were taught well enough to always remember that she is your sister and he is your brother, no matter what happens. So the pastor called me later on. I was on my way from the missionary journey. He says, hey, brother, that brother went, he didn't even tell me the name. Boss was not supposed to know anyway. He didn't even tell me. He says, that brother went to speak to her, and the answer was no. So you are up next. So then he says, but we need to give her some time. We need to give her some time to recover. I said, it's okay, Pastor. It's okay. So the rest of December, she's recovering. The whole of January, she is recovering. First week of January, Pastor, I think she has recovered. Can I speak to her? Pastor says, okay, that's fine, I'll arrange. But let me tell you this. It was on a Sunday, a week before the 17th, so on the 10th, the pastor is at church. She calls her, and she says, Sister Patricia, my 30 minutes is up. Can I just wrap up in 5 minutes this testimony? Thank you. And he says, Sister Patricia, there's a brother. In fact, he did not say there's a brother. He says to her, he looks at her, and he says, Sister Patricia, do you know the man who is going to marry you? Sisters, can I ask you that question? Do you know the man who is going to marry you? And then she says, yes, I know. And the pastor says, what? Who is he? And she says, it's Brother Victor. The pastor got startled a little bit, and he says, do you know Brother Victor? Says, yes, I know him. He says, sister, I want you to turn your head to your left. So she turned. And he says, can you see Brother Victor there? He says, yes, that one standing there with the green shirt. Says, sister, how did you know? She says, the Lord showed me. The Lord showed me several times. She even dreamt while at my rural home with people seated in a certain format. She dreamt she had that dream. It was so vivid. One day she's just praying for her husband and the Lord just says, your husband is Victor. Just like that. Just like that. So and then the pastor says, sister, this brother came to me about 3 months ago. And he told me that he wants to speak to you. So next Saturday, can you please speak? I will make an arrangement that you go meet on next Saturday, you can talk. So after that, I went to the interview. The pastor sent someone to come fetch me. I went to the pastor, says, right, I've spoken to the sister, you're speaking on Saturday. I said, pastor, I thought you would give you some 3 or so weeks. And he says, no, you're speaking on Saturday. And then he says, you know our policy here. We don't force sisters to fall in love with anyone. I'm like, pastor, what happened? Am I forcing? He says, no, I'm just telling you, we don't force sisters here. They choose by themselves. The Saturday came, as our tradition then, you would meet the sister at church, and then you take her to a restaurant, and then you buy food. Before you speak, you buy food. After buying food, you eat. After eating, that's when you present your case. And that's what happened. So my courtship was just 3 months. But here is the other testimony. Because I was so in love, I really wanted to just have a quick courtship and get it done and we move on. So I said, I really want a very small wedding where just a few people. So let's do, in Zimbabwe we call it right. Let's just do a right. Where we come to the pastor's house, we exchange vows and off we go as a married couple. That's all that I wanted. But my wife, the Lord had showed her in a dream that we were going to have a wedding at Crembon Boys High. So she knew, but she did not tell me. She's just quiet. And then later on he says, okay, I've managed to find some money. Let's look for a venue. I was going there, looking for venues. And yet she knew that we were going to have the wedding at Crembon. She never said anything. Then one day I go to her and says, you know what? I'm tired of looking for the venue. Okay, let's just use this Crembon Boys High. Then she says, that's the one. The Lord showed me already. So she knew the venue and she knew the place. When I took her to my rural home, that dream of her, people sitting around, when we were just about to say goodbye, I've got a photo of it. When we were just about to say goodbye, everyone came to sit around to say goodbye, and that dream was made flesh. That exactly the same way she had seen it in a dream. Why am I saying this? I want to give you hope. Please don't take the issue of marriage lightly. Please don't take this decision issue lightly. If you have got to fast about it, fast and say, Lord, show me the one. Lord, I want the right person to marry me. Please be sincere about it. We could have gone into the details of the how part. How do you then pray? How do you know it's the one? The who part, the why part, the where part. All those questions, we could go into all those questions. Because you need guidance on all those things. We are not doing these things that they do in the movies. We are not doing these things that they do in the soapies and everything. This is real. We need to know those things, and you need to know those things. Because if you don't know those things, you will have accidents along the way. You will have accidents. You must be, Boaz. Boaz was ruthless before he got married. When Ruth came, that ruthlessness gone. That's how it's supposed to be with you when you get married. You must enjoy, not endure, the marriage. But if you have to enjoy the marriage, you have to get the steps right. So, Brother Chireka, I'm leaving this to him. So at least if we have to do part 2 of this, we'll do the part 2. But today we have run out of time. We really want to go home while there's still light. But God bless you so much. Thank you for being a good audience.
Let's put a round of applause again for Pastor Chidongo. Amen. I just say to myself, I should have been a young person where opportunities like this are happening. Some of us, we went in without this solid advice. And we had to rely on movies, on novels, on uncles, where God has got resources in the kingdom. I want this God of Pastor Victor Chidongo. It's just that I'm already